Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Julian with me. We've just beaten West Ham 5-2 at the London Stadium. Feels like Arsenal really are back. 5-2 win today against West Ham.
Yeah, well, I never thought Arsenal went anywhere.
We weren't what we were, though, of what we saw last season and what we've seen since after the international break. That's fair to say.
Yeah, but look, we have 11 men on the pitch. We have our best players back.
Yeah.
We have Odegaard making it tick. And we're back to having 11 men on the pitch and Odegaard making it tick. I mean, that for me was the big difference.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you about, we just had stricter one talking about Gabriel Magalhaes. These corners, like, as a team that's playing Arsenal, surely that's the first thing you'd look at and say, we've got to be aware of this. And when you're on the pitch as well, you'd clearly think, we know how good they are, we need to stop Gabriel.
Yeah, now, we didn't have replays and we're a long way from that goal.
Fair.
So I am going to recount what I saw.
Were you in the upper or lower?
I was in the lower.
You had a better view than what we had.
Well, I did have a better view, but it happened very quickly. But from what I saw, and I also couldn't get an internet connection to replay it, I saw a very, very well-worked goal that is very difficult to defend against because he seemed to come from one side of the goal right to the other side of the goal. There was a massive amount of movement there. And when you have movement, this is the same all over the pitch.
Yeah, correct.
If you move, you're a moving target. I had this at Luton last season that, you know, when Arsenal scored, I was on the move because people were trying to hit me. And it's much more difficult.
It's good advice for life, I suppose.
Yeah, it's much more difficult for people to track you when you're on the move. And the movement of Gabriel, and that was planned. I mean, it's Jovia, isn't it?
Yeah, Nicolas Jovia.
Yeah, Nicolas Jovia. For me, that was all down to him and the way that he was able to organise and practice it. And they must have practiced that as well. That's no fluke.
Yeah, let me. I need to know from you what player stood out massively for you today. Who had a really, because when me and Robbie was sitting there watching, we was like, oh, don't really know who's been the star man here, but who for you today was on absolute fire?
Well, Saka was making things happen, but again for me it always seems to be Odegaard because Odegaard allows the other players to come into the game. Right. He's kind of in the centre. It's a position that I like to play when I played football, is you can have a massive effect on the game from that position.
Is there similarities between you and him when you're playing?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least you're being honest.
So other than that I did have vision, but I knew what I wanted to do. I just wasn't able to do it in the same way that he did. Because I can see the passes. I know where to pass the ball and how to pass the ball. I just didn't have the skill to be able to do it all the time when I got closed down. But what he does, he makes space when there isn't space and then still has that vision. So there are similarities, but of course he's a far better player than me in most respects.
It's nice to hear you actually admit that someone's better than you, especially an Arsenal football player. It makes sense. Going forward, Man United, Julian, how are you ahead of that game? How are you feeling? Because I think you look at it on paper, Arsenal comfortably win that game.
Well, you would have thought so because, I mean, I saw them last week against Ipswich and they really didn't look much. And you think that this guy Amarin comes in, we saw what he did with Sporting.
Yeah.
And then we saw what Sporting were like without him. And he's taken all his backroom staff, and I think within a few months he's going to get it right. But hopefully we see the United that we saw last week that was a complete shambles. Now people are saying that we need a striker. You know, a few people have come there, but I mean, for me, I just don't see it. You know, if just by the argument of how many goals we're scoring, you have several strikers on the pitch that are coming into that position. And if you've got one striker and you bring in that kind of guy and you'll talk about this 20 goal a season striker that people need, then what that does, it takes away the emphasis from other players on the pitch. And when you're scoring that amount of goals, how can you argue you need to change anything?
I think that's a fair argument, but I also think that last year we had all that. We were scoring goals from all over the pitch and we didn't end up winning the league. So I think fans may just want something different. It may not work though, because I kind of agree. The striker that a lot of fans are speaking about, I don't think fits the system and takes away from the rest of the team.
Yeah, but if you're going to use, we want something different from last season. Last season, how many points did we get?
We lost it by 2 points.
We lost it by 2 points. I believe we got 89 or 90 points. Now, you know, I do look at the calculations all the time, and if we get the same amount of points that we got last season and play to the same levels, City aren't going to do it. Liverpool, yes, are going to be close, but for me, we're going to win the league if we get the same amount of points. So I don't want to change anything from last season, because the main thing that's changed from last season that has changed is that City are not very good.